We're fine. Huh? We're fine. We're fine. We're fine, right? Are we gonna be okay? Are we gonna be okay? Okay. I'm late with the podcast. I'm late with the That's Good Broncos podcast. Will Keys is occupado, so no Will right now. You just get my big, well, small, dumb mug. My ugly, disgusting face. Still not as bad as Broncos football right now. All right. So I've had a good, 24 hours to decompress, to let go of the insanity that was one of the most painful losses I remember. When I'm like trying to think of losses that really, really hurt, it's this one, Super Bowl 48, the Ravens, and then, whatever else the hell happened in there. This one was interesting because they gave us too much hope too soon, right? Right? That's what the real issue was. The offense came out and scored 3 touchdowns on their first 3 drives. We're like, oh crap, they fixed the offense, and it was different guys stepping up. We thought getting Jerry Jeudy back would be the main thing, but it was Mims, it was Marvin Mims, Brandon Johnson, Jaleel McLaughlin, all these guys, 2 rookies and a guy who fought to make the roster last year, battled through some injuries. So I'm like, oh shit, this is great. Because once Jeudy does get fully healthy, once Dulcich maybe does get healthy and come back, we got a good offense, right? We got a good offense. And I think Javonte Williams is going to get better as the season progresses. And then we know what happened, right? Commanders came back. Commanders got a lead. And then we fought back. And we got a Hail Mary. The Broncos, they literally performed and executed one of the toughest plays to do. One of the biggest crapshoot plays. A Hail Mary. Also, we could not convert that 2-point conversion, which the more I look at that fucking play, the more I see that pass interference not called, the more angry I get. But I've talked about that several times now. I'm not going to harp on how hard the refs just opened us up. It was like we were on the operating table at their mercy. Chest cracked open, vulnerable. We were so vulnerable as Broncos fans. And the officials just reached in there, just took our hearts out and started biting it, eating in front of our face while we're under. So it was rough. It was really, really rough. There's a lot of reasons to be upset with this 0-2 start. There's a lot of justifiable reasons. We're going to get into that just a little bit today. About the defense, about some of the things. I want to get into your supers here. I want to answer any questions you guys got. We're just going to talk through this like a therapy session. Okay? Next game, let's view it as stoic as possible. Let's not get too excited until that clock hits 0. Yeah. Fair. Smart. That's a smart approach. Mental health check for Will. Will's okay. Will's okay. Thank you for checking in with Will. He shall be back. It's okay, Perna. Goodell told the refs to make the Broncos lose just to spite Snyder. Interesting. I don't know about that, but let's just say it's true. Okay, this is, yeah. Currently, the Broncos are the worst team in the league per record. If you go to Tankathon, which is my favorite draft tracking site over here, Tankathon, okay? Boom. We own the number 1 pick in the draft right now. See that right there? 0-2. Broncos would have Caleb Williams if the season ended today. Now, it's a long season. We got to lose more games than the Bears still. And they are, after 2 games, they're in a position where they may need a quarterback. It looks like they could use a quarterback at this very moment. The Vikings are going to win some games. The Cardinals are playing better than we thought, but that's a competition. I don't think the Broncos can lose out because their offense is playing fairly well. The week 1 was weird because they didn't have very many drives, right? There's my hero, Mike McDaniel. Mike McDaniel, you smooth son of a bitch. You should be our head coach right now. Here's what I wanted to play. This is a little bit interesting. It's about the Broncos points per drive. Old Rexy. Sexy Rexy.
Okay, here's what I also know about Denver right now. Okay, because we're all looking. How come this marriage, Sean Payton and Russell Wilson, doesn't seem to be clicking? Well, it is clicking. This team has averaged more points per possession than any offensive unit in the National Football League. Nobody knows that. It's the truth. Last week, they only had 6 possessions.
Most points per possession. And then our buddy Zach Seegers dropped that info today on Twitter. Points per drive through 2 weeks. So I think there are things working on the offense. Last game was a good example of that, right? They scored those 3 touchdowns right away. Yeah, this team is not as bad as it was last year. Yes, we were 1-1 last year at this time, but this team isn't a dumpster fire and more of an inexperienced team. Well, I think injuries are starting, to be an issue. The positives from the game yesterday. Will Lutz made all his kicks. That's a big one. Will Lutz made his kicks. That's it. That was the only positive, right? That was the only positive. Will Lutz made his kicks. No, it was young guys playing well, right? Like I mentioned earlier with those 3 touchdowns. Like I'm very excited about Mims moving forward. And Russ getting the ball to him. Like all those deep passes were beautiful. Just beautiful throws by Russell Wilson. Second half, though, pressure starts breaking down from the offensive line. There's 7 sacks that Russ takes in this game total. That was an issue. Sam Howell started to dice up the Broncos and Brian Robinson. So I think Rex Ryan there in that clip, Rex Ryan's like, he said something to the effect of if he were brought on as defensive coordinator, the Broncos would have had one of the best defenses in the league because they have the talent to do so. I don't know. I'm not sold on that yet. I think there's a lot of pieces there, but there's talent lacking for sure, specifically on defense, because after Kareem Jackson got ejected, we're left with Justin Simmons and Delarian Turner-Yell at safety, and then Turner-Yell gets hurt, so we have one safety out there. That's not good. Riley Moss was inactive. We saw Damari Mathis struggle a lot in coverage again. So this is the second week he got burnt quite a few times. So I think there's a hole at corner currently, Riley Moss pending. Now we've got injury concerns at safety and or just Kareem Jackson not doing a hit that's going to get him flagged or ejected in games. Pass rush looked better. Okay, that was another positive. Gregory got a sack earlier. Nick Bonito had a few plays where he looked almost unblockable. And Jonathan Cooper stripped the ball. The Commanders recovered, but they looked better, and they needed to get at least 4 sacks against the Commanders line because the week before they gave up 6 sacks, right? So they had to do something. If the pass rush gets better every week, maybe it gets a little better when Frank Clark returns, but they weren't I don't think they missed him too much. So we saw improvement in those areas, but there's it's weird when your team can score, and when the Broncos scored 33 points, but the defense basically they let him down. The defense let him down. Russell Wilson had a couple bad series that you got to worry about. The series where he threw the interception, he should have thrown 2 on that series. You don't like that. You don't like that at all. You don't like him getting hit 7 times. I don't think it was his fault. I think it's more of an offensive line issue there. The fumble was a problem as well. Just can't do that. And that fumble right before halftime, really, that's when everything snowballed. That's when the snowball turned into just bad shit was coming, and we weren't going to be able to stop. It was a shit ball. It was a ball of shit. We got a ball of shit rolling, and we couldn't stop it because they scored. They scored on 4th down too on that series. That hit where Kareem Jackson got ejected, that was a 4th down touchdown conversion for the Commanders. If they stop them there, who knows what happens. But even after that, right, the Commanders got the ball back and kicked a field goal right before halftime. They missed a field goal as well. So we're lucky that we kind of had a chance at the end for that 2-point conversion to tie up the game. I don't think very many of us believe, even if they convert that 2-point conversion there, that they're going to win. Because even if the Broncos are decent, I think we still believe that they're going to be cursed, that something horrible would have happened in overtime had they even tied it up there. So yeah, I think there's issues at every level, right? And every time I think another player is going to get healthy and return, like Greg Dulcich, it's like who's going to be hurt next though that they're going to be playing without. Like I think the team that they have with the injuries is just kind of who they are, who we have to accept they are, and I think they can beat bad teams. I don't think the Commanders are a bad team right now. I think they're a decent football team. I don't think they can really hang with talented teams. I think they're going to get worked by the Dolphins coming up. Like we can talk about the points per drive, but that might be more of a result of having just very few drives in the first game. We'll see if they can hang with Miami, and they're going to play against a Fangio defense, so we'll get a better read on the offense as well. And I am scared the Dolphins are going to light up the Broncos defense. Just don't throw at Pat Surtain, basically. And Tua gets rid of the ball quickly. So the Broncos, who already don't have a great pass rush, don't even think it's going to matter in that game coming up against Miami. Vic Fangio, probably out for revenge. So I think it's going to look worse next week before it starts to even maybe possibly feel better. And then we've got a tough stretch of games after that. We've got the Chiefs twice coming up. Luckily, the Jets game might be easier than we thought without Rodgers. But anyway, it just feels like Denver was never ready to take that next step into being a good team. They keep finding ways to lose games. They do keep finding ways to lose games. I think one issue from the defense that kind of carried over from last season is that it feels like when the team needs the defense to get a play, whether that's a stop, a turnover, whatever, they're not able to do it. And in the first half, the defense did because the Commanders drove the ball downfield at will. But the defense sacked Sam Howell close to the red zone. Commanders miss a field goal. Second series, they sack him again. They stop a drive. So they stopped 3 drives there to start the game. And then after that, they just stopped stopping them. Stop stopping them. Brian Robinson got hot, and there wasn't anything they could do about it. Another thing that you should be worried about is Josh Jacobs going against the Bills this week, -2 rushing yards. He had 46 last week. I don't know how math works, but that's like 1,000 times more rushing yards if you're multiplying by negatives than he had against the Bills. It was not good. So yeah, maybe the Vance Joseph defense was a bad plan from the beginning. I don't even want to pick on Vance Joseph, but what have his defenses done that make anybody think that he's a really good defensive coordinator? I don't think I haven't seen it. I've never fucking seen it. Never seen it. Never seen it. Just never seen it. Do you actually count how many times you say new in your new words? No, I don't count anymore. I just whatever. Wherever we're at. Wherever we're at. You know where we're at? We're at the promo. Code Let's Ride for Underdog Fantasy. There's a link in the description if you want to sign up with Underdog. New customers get the mystery pick'em special. So Underdog will match your first deposit up to $100, and then you get a mystery guy, a mystery player, okay? And it's going to be a gimme. Put that in a pick'em. In Colorado, you got to do 4 picks. You're picking higher or lower on fantasy totals. If you get them all right, you're going to multiply your money up to 20 times. I will caution you, I have been terrible at the pick'ems, but also we do fantasy leagues. Maybe during the midweek pod that we do with Let's Talk Broncos, I'll drop a link for a fantasy draft. You can play against me in that league, but just use my code Let's Ride if you're going to sign up for Underdog. You want to play a little fantasy this season. They're doing weekly $100,000 contests on Sunday. You enter the pick'em games with the pick'em player that they have featured. You don't even have to win your pick'em, and you're qualified to possibly win $100,000. Anyway, what do we got? Maybe Tampa will let the Broncos have Shaq Barrett back. Yeah, I would have loved to keep Shaq. Just kidding. Hang in there, Broncos aren't as bad as you make them out to be. No, well, that was the problem, right? That was the problem. They played basically, 25 minutes of the kind of football we thought Russell Wilson could play. We thought Sean Payton's offense would deploy. And as soon as that fumble happened, they couldn't get a stop. And then they gave up a field goal after that. Because what did they go 3 and out there after, Washington scored? 3 and out, they punt away, and then they give up a field goal. So they are as bad as we think. They are. It doesn't mean that there aren't talented players and there isn't room for like improvement or upside at some point. Like last year, they felt more like a mess. This year, it feels like the defense is going to be taking a step back unless like some shit changes with, I'm going to put it on the defensive coordinator there to make sure guys are in the right place to succeed. I'm worried about health and depth at the safety spot with Caden Stearns. He can't come back for 8 weeks, right? Or is he out all season? Did he tear his patella? He's done all season. I think he's done all season. I can't remember. I can't even keep track. Is Delarian Turner-Yell? Is he going to be healthy next week? Don't know. There's just a lot. There's a lot. Like, could they possibly hang with teams if their offense plays as consistently as they should? Like, I don't give a shit about their points per drive. You still got outscored by the Commanders, right? And you didn't get a touchdown in the third quarter. Nothing happened in the third quarter. Nothing really happened in the fourth quarter. They had to settle for a couple field goals before they finally scored a touchdown there. So they can't settle for field goals. That they had a drive where, everything they tried didn't work. And part of it, when they were around the goal line, it was pressure. Russ rolling out, can't get away, nearly threw a pick. And we saw that last week too, right? He'd had a bad pass that was batted down, could have been a pick. So red zone offense got to be better. Actually, that's the Mims touchdown. There's that deep one. How many red zone touchdowns have they scored this season? That's the stat we really need. Gronk was in town for the CU game. He cursed the Broncos 2015 AC title game. You almost cursed CU, and you said you want them to beat everyone except CSU. Well, I said it'd be funny if they beat every team in college and only lost to CSU. So I don't know what to say. On one hand, I'm happy the Chargers and Broncos lost. On the other hand, I don't want them to lose like that. Yeah, here's a good question. Because Guillermo, your Raiders did not look good against the Bills. Which team is actually the worst team in the AFC West? I know the Broncos have the worst record. We're lowest in the standings. The Chargers are like the best worst team, but they keep losing, and they do that. That's the Chargers. Are they going to keep doing that? How long can the Chargers keep losing in the Chargerist way possible? That's what I want to know. Here, let's see if Zach Seeger's posted any other good stats. Let's see, Zach. Did you get any other stats? Just one. I want stats. No. See, there's not a lot of positive Broncos stats right now, guys. There's just not a lot of positive Broncos stats. That's where we're at. Not a lot of positives. And there should be when you score touchdowns on your 3 first possessions. I'm trying to find anything else in here. Anything. One more thing besides that thing. Oh, yeah. They signed Ronnie Perkins off the Patriots practice squad, defensive end. And they're not going to fire Vance Joseph, by the way. I mean, I don't think. They're not going to fire him this quickly in the season. And look, if people are if people are begging for Vance to be fired after what? 2 games? 2 games? What does that mean for the state of this team right now? I honestly, and I thought maybe we'd be saying this like as a joke, right? Because everybody wants Caleb Williams. But why not? Why not just commit? Why don't we just fucking tank for Caleb Williams? And I think Russ is serviceable. I think Russ still has some good football left in him. Not Caleb Williams' good football. But if we got a shot, is this what we want? Do we just want to call this season a waste and go get Caleb Williams? I would like that. I didn't think I would really be considering that, you know? I thought the Broncos would have won one of these 2 opening games. I think the Commanders are a better team than the Raiders, so I'm less upset about the level of competition that the Broncos lost to in the second game. Looking at what the Bills did to the Raiders makes me just sick that Denver couldn't find a way to get more than 16 points. Fucking 18 points in that game, 19 points to beat the Raiders. So those should have been 2 wins. Those should have been 2 wins before we're going to get into the tough part of the Broncos schedule early here. Right? We got the Dolphins. Blowout. Dolphins are going to blow out. We got the Bears. Okay. The loser of that game stays in the Caleb Williams hunt, basically. Then we got the Jets. So after the Dolphins, there's 2 very winnable games there because the Jets with Zach Wilson are a disaster. If we tank again, I'm jumping off mile high. We didn't tank. We've never tanked. That's the problem. We haven't committed to a tank. NFL teams don't really tank. This is just fans being wishful. That's, we're being wishful. But then it's the Chiefs, the Packers, the Chiefs again. I don't think the Packers are as good as they were maybe week 1, but they're a solid football team. The Bills, the Vikings got an offense. The Browns are good. We could beat the Texans, but maybe by that time the Texans figure some shit out. Like, this feels to me like the Broncos are going to win 4 games this season and not be in play for Caleb Williams. I said like a mediocre season would be the worst case scenario for the Broncos. I think it's 4. I think it's like a 4-win season, and they're picking like 6th in the draft. And Caleb Williams is gone. Drake May is gone. Shedeur Sanders is gone, and they can't address their quarterback position. That would be the worst. Oof. I don't know. I think we just hit rock bottom. I think that Hail Mary, that loss was rock bottom. Because if we lose to the Jets at that point, it's like, let's just go get our quarterback. Let's go get our quarterback. I think Caleb Williams would want to play for Sean Payton. I think you sell some players at the trade deadline, basically, get some more draft capital, and you actually commit to a full-on rebuild, which the Broncos have. I don't know when they've done that last time. Like, have they ever just committed to a rebuild? No, because you had Jake Plummer when they drafted Cutler, and Plummer was good. They made the switch at a weird time there. Then McDaniels came in, kind of burnt shit down. But you had Tebow, who got you to the playoffs. You got rid of Tebow, got Peyton Manning, didn't need to rebuild. After Manning's when they should have done it, but they unfortunately drafted Paxton Lynch. Then they kept like just trying. It was like Paxton Lynch, Case Keenum, Joe Flacco, Teddy Bridgewater, Russell Wilson. You know, so yeah, we haven't. The Broncos have never picked first overall in the draft either. By the way, that would be a first. Jake Plummer was a god. We're just gonna say it. We have weird depth on the offense. I think the offensive line isn't as good as we hoped it would be. I think we saw Jaleel McLaughlin make one play, which was a touchdown, and then they didn't give him the ball again. And I love Javonte, but it's just such a different style of running. Get him in there. You kept him on the team because he showed you he has speed in the preseason. And he had nice vision on that touchdown run. So just get him the ball a couple more times. Even Samaje Perine didn't get many carries, you know? And I think Perine, while Javonte's recovering from his knee, is a little bit faster right now. Where's my Broncos box score? Let me just take a look at this. Where the fuck is this boxy score? Commanders, just so I can confirm carries and stuff. Let's see here. Player stats, Broncos. 1 carry from Perine. 12 from Javonte. Russ had 6. I like that Russ was running a little more. One was a designed run early. That was nice. Other ones, he's running for his life. There's nothing there. But 1 carry for Perine. 1 carry for Jaleel. Why even have him if you're not going to give him more work than that? I don't understand. Like, I literally just want Sean Payton to explain me what his thinking is there, you know? Marvin Mims, solid. Who the hell is Cohen Sutton? You guys remember when the Broncos signed Cohen Sutton? I feel better about the wide receivers, though, okay? Because I don't think Jerry Jeudy's 100% yet. I don't think you can be from hamstring injuries until you're like 8 weeks out. It's a big fucking muscle explosion in your leg. But I felt better about Brandon Johnson, about Marvin Mims once Judy's healthy. So I feel better about the depth there. I think there's decent depth at running back. It's just the way they use it's the problem. And then, yeah, we've got 6 blocking tight ends and nobody else there. That does concern me a little bit. Yeah, the third Cohen brother. I got to tweet that shit. But anyway, that's my therapy session. We'll maybe they surprise us against the Dolphins. They're not going to surprise us. If they beat the Dolphins, that would be insane. Look, I'm already trying to hype myself up for that. There's no way. There's no way. Mike McDaniel is from Denver. He is from Denver. And we couldn't go get him. They let him go to Miami. He's a freaking genius. He's a genius, an offensive genius. But we'll see. I'll give Sean Payton some time. I think the offense will be fine. I think we've seen some stuff from the offense. But as a team, as a whole, special teams was better. That was the other positive, right? It wasn't just that Lutz made all the kicks. Mims had a nice return in that game. He had a nice return. We haven't seen a return like that for quite some time. So, unless the defense just balls out against the Dolphins, I don't have a lot of hope. Tank for Caleb. Let's just commit to the tank. Yeah, so we've got a Vic Fangio and Bradley Chubb revenge game for the Dolphins. And Mike McDaniel, not a revenge game, but he's from Denver. He's from Aurora. We could have had him. I don't even think the Broncos interviewed him. Anyway, thank you guys for coming in here. Sorry we didn't go up right at an hour after the game like we normally do. Will is busy. I was focused on the episode. Should be back for the recap next week. We'll be back Wednesday with Let's Talk Broncos. Make sure you give them a sub and take care of our sponsor. If you're going to play fantasy football, you're going to play some pick'em games, Underdog, code Let's Ride, link in the description. Good night. And I don't like Hail Marys anymore. Don't like them.